The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com,
Overkill Derby products at overkillderby.com.
Full Lockwood Motorsports, and the 2015 Keystone National. Syopa Racing and SyopaRacing.com. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015. Demo Derby Master. Reckless Abandon Derby apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt. And we are live here at Trackside. Thanks for joining us, Crash Course Podcast. Weighing in a little bit on what we've seen so far, you can see one of the Team DMP cars on the inspection ramp behind us. Guys, it's an adventurous morning so far, as a couple of these guys are learning what is and isn't written in the rule book.
Well, again, as Sam said last time he was on, there's guys coming from every other area, north, south, east, west, and everyone reads those rules just a little bit different. And we've only seen 3 teams up.
No, that'd be 2.
Well, third one's up
This
right
is
now.
the third one right here.
And there's a lot of different stuff already out of 3 teams. Ben's smiling already. I mean,
Ben, you're the one that we probably should turn to first. What have you seen go through tech inspection? JYD and the show, the Syopas, have already gone across the ramps. They've got equivalent of basically 1 can of spray paint per car to go back and work on. There was some great creativity in the JYD cars, but they've got some stuff to do.
Yeah, I think between those 2 teams, they've pretty much covered almost the whole wide spectrum of what they're going to have in creativity.
yes.
It's good to see, and it's 2 different teams for 2 different areas. So, to see the interpretation from way out in Pennsylvania way and interpretation with Team JYD, I mean, it's definitely, they got some work to do, and very cooperative on both sides. I mean, there's pushing and pulling, and it's being very.
You can just slide over and get him up on the microphone. It's really, really quiet.
Being very.
There's Ben.
Yeah. No, it's a push pull type thing and a give take type thing, and it's just going real smooth, I think.
It's going very smooth. Everybody was most respectful.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anybody that was acting crazy. Steve was very adamant at one point, Steve Syopa, that he was going to load up his car because of one of the questions that he had over the cross member.
When you put these guys are very passionate at what they do, and you put this much time and effort into this caliber of car, that's the last thing you want to do is want to cut a bunch of stuff, But when you build, you also have to have the mindset of you might have to fix stuff. So, and they do. So they got a lot of work ahead of themselves. And
well, if you look at the 2 teams separately, JYD's been here before.
Yes.
Syopa's team hasn't. So, they have a lot of paint on their car. Let's be honest. There was a lot of fluorescence, and they got to cut all that. But you have to anticipate that because they've never been here before. So, of course, they're going, and they knew coming in that they were going to have to cut some stuff. So,
yeah.
You get in that line, and like you
Todd
said,
even had green paint on his shirt. He's got to cut that.
He's done.
Yeah.
But you got to understand they're real passionate, like Ben says about it, so they don't want to cut anything. They did all the work on the cars.
Right.
But on the backside, look at JYD. They went through, I would say, a little bit easier. They still have a lot of stuff to do, too. Some tough work in certain areas. But
Did you see the floating dash bar DP extension
that's
on
getting
Mike
cut
Ward's
out.
car?
Is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's
there's
getting
no
cut
way.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That was
Yeah.
the smartest idea. I love that idea. I'm taking it home with me.
He ran this extension off as a distributor protector that ran all the way to the trunk lid.
Yeah, and then
it floated over the trunk lid, but it also sleeved over top of the window bar that was welded to the trunk lid.
So smart. I've seen already. Again, we've only seen 10 cars, 12 cars. Some smart stuff.
Yeah.
Some smart stuff.
Yep.
Did you get a chance to walk outside at all?
No, I haven't.
No.
I'm
Team
gonna
No
go team by
Namers, the
team.
pink and black team is in line behind DMP, and then
One of
there
the
was
Mopar. They got a shocker.
yeah, they got a
Nice
shocker
Nice.
lined up with that, and then there was one of the black and blue teams was lined up behind them, but I'm not sure if it was E2 or if it was, well, it must have been E2 because I saw Joe Moment come through earlier, so I think E2 is in line behind them. But everybody's got their time, and we talked about on the show Monday that you've only got 15 minutes once you hit the ramp, and they are sticking very hard and fast to that. We're looking at fluctuations of maybe
Yeah.
60 seconds.
Yeah, you're going to get a little fluctuation, but I mean, you're going to have that. I mean, that you try to hard line it, but you know what? They want to give everybody the same equal amount of tech, and so it's equal across the board. And but here to tell you, some cars are going to take longer than other cars.
Oh, yeah.
It's point blank,
Yeah.
and just because of
Discussions.
the discussions, the interpretations, and everything else. So,
Now the big thing that
but they are being very close to it. You know,
I
if
agree.
not under it, sticking right to it, or just a hair over, and it's working out. You know.
Yeah, there's some. I don't know. Some of these teams, I think, are going to be able to click a little bit faster. Again, if you've been here before, I can already see, because just looking at JYD's teams, JYD and Siopa's cars were not that crazy far apart. It's just that JYD knew the ins and outs of these rules specifically, and some of them were very minute. I mean, I'm talking about changing a word, a letter,
Yeah.
and it totally changed the build of a certain area.
And that's where the dynamic is where these guys, a large number of these guys run all UD shows.
Yes, true.
All year.
True.
So
True.
you kind of take some of that.
You're
You know,
absolutely right.
take some of that. They're familiar with the text. They're familiar with what they can do, and point blank, like we said, Sailba's one. A team is not going to come 15 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours away, and be underbuilt.
You're not going to come to this show underbuilt.
No.
Think of the cars that we haven't seen yet. I mean, we've only seen, like you said, we've only seen 8 or 9
Yeah.
cars come across the ramps. I'm dying to see Colton Newhoffen's car.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no doubt.
Yeah.
No
And
doubt.
there's,
It looks great in pictures.
And there's going to be, and that's where he's setting the bar and setting a precedent that I'm sure there's going to be lots of teams doing the same thing. that
Kenny
these
Rosno's
guys
another
did.
one that I'm anxious to see. I was
No,
talking
yeah,
with
definitely.
I was talking with Shaggy last night, and he came up to me and he said, I started doing some research based on what you were telling me last night, and I saw some pictures online. And would you be interested in betting a Benjamin on every one of those Metro
Yeah.
Cadillacs going into the dirt?
No, absolutely not. Not from these
I'm,
builders.
I'm not making that bet.
If it was a stock derby, I'd say absolutely. But
Mm-hmm.
around here, no, not happening. I don't agree with that one.
But one of the conversations that we had last night with some of the guys that are in the national bracket is that they've got the opportunity to run arch plates on their cars. If you're in the qualifying bracket, you don't.
Right.
So let's say one of these teams that's in the national bracket that's behind us right now going through tech inspection chooses to load, or they don't pass and they're loaded, they don't run, whatever that situation might be. One of those teams from the qualifying bracket moves up.
Right.
Interesting. So then they got to go out back there,
Now,
weld some home plates
now
on.
you have
Yep.
to. Now
you have to.
You got to do
It's
that.
a game
Yes.
changer.
Yep.
But one thing, if we could go back to inspection line real quick.
Before we do that, in line, there is an order right now, in line to move up into the national bracket. Jesse Hoffmeister's team.
That's the next one.
They're first.
They're first
They're
in
first
line.
in line
They deserve
to
that.
move up. They were 4th place last year. That's how Cheesy's team ended up moving up. And then behind them, the only other one that had run was Kunkel's team. So they have
They
the
also
opportunity.
deserve to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Either team. Kunkel's team was great last year.
Yes.
But
You,
so was,
you're telling me that Shanley Motorsports isn't taking that? They're jumping in the national bracket.
Yeah.
If they get that
Oh my
opportunity, they
gosh,
got to
yeah.
jump in.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But either team is worthy.
Oh,
I would
no
say.
question.
Worthy of it. But one thing that we didn't talk about real quick with this inspection of 15 minutes, something that they're doing today, which I don't think it was the same last year. They're not reteching tonight. Every team is just going to go through one time. So you're just going to go through, and then you're going to retech in the morning. So
Right.
the 15 minutes is because last year they were also bringing cars in on the north end up here, and they had guys reteching, but they're not going to be doing that this year. Which actually, I think with the 15 minutes, it concentrates everyone on those cars on the list for the 15 minutes.
Right.
And I believe that they will be able to stay on pace virtually, pretty much.
Yeah, you got ground guys. I mean, he has a great group of guys. And, you got the ground guys doing the pre-check, and then it's
There are a good group
Yeah,
of guys over
yeah.
there. They are talking, communicating real well, and I'll tell you, they are thorough.
100%.
They are touching everything.
Oh yeah.
They're touching everything
Yeah.
in there, and that's again, and I've heard some conversations they're having, and they're like, we got to look closer into this. I think something's in here, and I like that. It's they're trying, they're caring,
Yes.
and that's huge in an inspection line.
Yep. Yeah, you have to be very passionate about it.
And guys are getting upset not quickly, but It's very. This isn't a county fair.
No.
So when you tell me to cost something, I'm not just saying okay. You're not just saying okay deal. You know, you're.
No, so these guys spent some of them spent months building these cars, and they don't want to. In their minds, they're right.
Well, Corletto was cracking me up because Corletto built 3 of those Scioppa cars.
Yep.
And he's just like, look at all the work I did that I got to cut out of here. It's ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, if that poor kid's got a week of work that he's going to cut out this afternoon.
Yeah.
It was funny last night. Todd was talking about hiring Ben to come do some fabbing. So we get done here, Ben might be out in his welder's helmet and doing a little work. So
That'd be awesome. That's cool. Nah, but I'm interested to see the rest of the teams. I mean, we've seen a lot of new stuff already. And, man, some of the protectors, guys are stepping the games up. I'm telling you, from last year to this year, right, Ben?
Oh,
protectors.
Yeah.
And Brian had a good point. We saw one car that literally had a protector on every single thing.
Absolutely.
Wire protectors. I mean,
Hose,
there was
lines,
every
everything.
single
Dipstick.
thing, dipstick protector. Which I learned something about that today.
Oh, yeah.
I learned something about that today.
Yeah.
You know, but also look at some of the window bars and stuff. I mean, some just smart ideas with window bars.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Just their way around for the DP and in the dash bar and everything else. I mean,
some really smart, creative ideas.
very very smart.
So someone sat there and in their head thought of that because not a lot of guys knew what the other guys were doing. You knew the rule, but then how do you do the rule?
Right.
And just to think of how guys thought it in their head and come up with the answer is kind of cool.
Well, you had one team that interpreted that rule, and they did it 4 different ways on all 4. Every car was different.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Every car was different.
That's awesome.
You know, and that's on one team.
Right.
You know, some people would think, oh, that team's going to be pretty much built the same.
Oh.
Chris.
Got a little aggressive.
Yeah. Every team is going to be the same, but, you know, it's kind of smart in a way.
Yeah.
Because
The only bad thing about today is we got another whole day before us before we see the crashing. That's the only bad thing, man.
We got 300 cars to go through.
Yeah, you look at all these cars, and I would love to see stuff wrecking tonight, but obviously they can't. But
we can go out and, you know, if they leave
Well, they're building the
keys in
track
there-
right now.
Yeah,
The
Yes,
track's
they
in
are.
there coming together as we speak.
yeah. Go out there and run the loaders around.
Well, just to hear Scioppa's pulling out together, all 4 cars together.
oh yeah,
Damn.
good sounding
My
motors.
mouth was watering. It's just like I can't wait to watch these 4 guys jump 4 other ones that sound just as bad.
Wait for the heat draws.
Yeah, no
tonight.
doubt.
I mean,
Oh, heat
there's going to
draws,
be plenty of noise when those come out.
Absolutely.
We're going to be back online tonight. Trying to keep up with everybody. Tons of people checking in from home.
I'm not even checking my phone. You're gonna have to
No.
wait. Sorry.
Yeah,
Josh, could you send me a picture?
No. Well, you I can. Yeah, and for a lot of people at home, asking, my phone was getting pounded to send pictures. You got to remember, you can't take pictures here. You can't take pictures here. First, it's just disrespectful. But everyone's doing stuff, and they don't want you going and posting pictures online and people seeing. And you just got to respect that, So I know I've been getting, and Chris too, we've been getting 100 things. Send pictures. You got to understand that it's just, that's why we're saying you got to come out here.
Yeah.
Because you got to see it.
Yep.
And that's just the deal. I'm sorry. Get upset about that, but
Yeah,
that's the deal.
they're guarding a lot of that. You know what I mean?
No,
They
that's
don't
it.
allow that stuff to just go by.
They're going to fire up the second
Yep,
ramp
we got
now.
the second lift going.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is Dial's team.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now I got to say, Dials, I'm rooting for Dials this year. Last year, and I have to apologize, he pulled in Cordoba, and I said on air I didn't like how the back was built. And his Cordoba
Was tough.
was awesome.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
nasty.
So I got to totally apologize to him, and I told him this year I totally got your back because you absolutely know what you're doing building the Mopar out there. So I know he'll be that team's going to be good.
Yeah.
They're
And
going
they
to be a
were
lot of
tough
fun to
last
watch too.
Yeah, they were tough last year.
I mean, they were awful close to really breaking through. When you think about it, they were knocking on the door.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Double ramping it right now is just awesome.
Yes, I know the cars are low on this right now. They're going to lift the car up, and Kyle's car will pull right into the frame. That's Kyle Puttawitter that's pulling up onto the ramps right now. Behind him is Adam Lemminger. Adam selected by a number of the teams that are involved in that fantasy draw. The fantasy draw Final number was turned in 696 teams.
Awesome.
And imagine how that's going to change if you have Jesse Hoffmeister or Matt Hoffmeister, who are very, very popular in terms of the qualifying team selections. They move up, and now you have far, far greater chances of scoring points with those guys.
True.
Game changer.
Yep, absolutely. Chris Lancaster's the man. Lancaster's walking by.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I'm just so excited to be here. I mean, it was awesome last night we got here and took some pictures and sent them back home to the family of the piles of dirt. And they hadn't really started making the track yet. And Ben and I were out walking this morning, and they were bringing more stuff in and building the track. And it's just such a cool experience to see it from beginning to end, and it's gonna be wild. Really looking forward to it.
Oh, it's a major transformation. I mean, from what we seen earlier to 3 or 4 hours from now.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's going to be, it's kind of cool because you see it in different stages. That's
Definitely.
a stage a lot of people don't see.
There's a couple huge trailers that are still ready to pull in here, and it's going to soak up all the space that we've got left inside the track. Did you get a chance to get in there and see when half of the hockey arena was still full of dirt, and then they trucked in the rest of the dirt this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, there's still more dirt. There actually it's pre-staged out in the driveway, and so they've been 10-wheeling it in a little at a time. But it's definitely a neat thing to watch. When we get done, I'm going to go out and watch it a little more, just to watch how they do it. I mean, some of it really looks tacky, but then there's some that kind of looks dry. So I'm seeing how they're mixing that all together, and it's going to be cool.
Well, we always know that this track is like as good as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as far
Fast
as
track.
traction, a lot of guys are going to still get hung on the walls, but as far as inside that middle of the pit, the track is as good as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know many tracks better. But it's interesting. We've already heard this morning a lot of guys talking about rear end heights. How they're seeing a lot of guys run high, they run low. What's right? What's wrong? I don't know the answer. Talking to some people this morning, they want to go low to kind of pick people up and shove them into walls. And as we've seen, when you get into them walls, those walls absorb you.
Well,
They suck you right in.
I mean, how good is it that we've gotten away from the conversation about having the concrete in there? That's not happening now, which I think is a good move.
I agree.
I mean, having that concrete in there, we were talking to some of the guys last night where they said if I get sideways against concrete and I get hit, or worse yet, I try to get somebody sideways against
Swing and miss.
concrete and miss, I mean, it's not going to move. There's no give to it. At least the dirt has a little bit of flex to it,
And these cars are stupid hard today.
Oh, yeah.
And when you are on the side of the wall, okay, now let's imagine some of these hitting your rear end. Your one tire's up against a concrete wall, and they hit you square in that other tire. You want to talk about some flex and breaking a lot of money?
Yeah, no doubt.
You'd be blowing them up. You'd be blowing everything up. They'd be inside cars.
Yep.
wouldn't they?
There's a car that hasn't come through tech inspection yet, and I don't know which one it is, who, because you can't have your distributor protector connected directly, but you can kind of have it wrapped around, the way that was interpreted, they have 20-ton rated compression rubber around it so that it can still move. It's not connected, but I mean that was some pretty creative thinking on that, and
To suck up some flex. It's a good
right.
idea. It's a good idea.
But it still leaves it so that you're not going to break stuff.
Yep.
Well,
that's the thing. You need some flex sometimes. I mean, things are going to flex. And the problem is sometimes when stuff is so hard, they snap.
Yeah.
They
And
don't flex, they snap.
we were talking about that before JYD went through this morning, and I think we kind of all agreed that you're going to see I think we're going to see a lot of trannies break. We're going to see some blocks breaking. That's the one thing that you really can't. The casing on the tranny and the block on the motor, there's no reinforcing, and cast is only so tough. So I definitely think we're going to see some of that stuff.
I've been
get broke.
asking a bunch of people that question, and they said it's the guys that are bringing the stuff that they built at home, especially with ones that are bolting into the engine block itself. Those are the ones that are going to be most apt to break blocks. But if you've got a ski protector, or if you've got some of these heavier duty protectors, that you're not going to see those blocks break. There's other people that we've talked to about that exact topic, and they're saying, oh yeah, you're going to see a ton of motors coming apart.
I agree. I mean, I don't know. They're gonna come apart. I would agree with you guys on the trainings. I think we're going to see more trainings blow up. Well, last year, how many did we see motor-wise? I mean, just one manufacturer we've seen a
Right.
bunch.
A couple-
So,
couple
yeah,
problems.
couple. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of ballsy at this level because as hard as they are, they're as equally fragile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're
you
as
made it
equally
so hard to
fragile.
the point that it's brittle.
If you didn't nail it, putting it in there, if you didn't cross your T's and dot your I's, you're gonna explode stuff today. And
No
tomorrow
doubt.
On Friday and Saturday, whatever days that you're out there.
We're not even see a car on the track today. Again, run through the schedule. Tomorrow's going to be qualifying rounds. Thursday we follow up with some more qualifying, and
Friday.
Friday we follow up with more qualifying. A couple of the one and done divisions going to be running. And Saturday's wide open. We got a ton of stuff coming across. The radar on that, on top of the RC Derby earlier in the day, and then Championship Sunday. There's a litany of events to get through there. Do you think that the heats are going to be as fast to reach their conclusion as what we saw last year?
If the walls are different, no. If the walls are different and people can't get put up on them as quick, I don't think they'll be.
I heard their idea. If we could discuss their idea with the walls, I still think you're going to get hung on the walls. Like
Yeah.
the walls, what they're planning on doing is cutting them
Packed
straight
4
up,
feet.
4 foot high. Now, if we remember last year, Chris was telling people yesterday, like in the modifieds, which I know they run Sunday, but the modifieds are going straight through the walls. And I don't
Yeah.
care if you make it sheer or an angle, they're going through the walls. So I would say like Thursday night, the walls might have a little bit of a difference. But I would say as you get into the weekend, they're going to start softening up, and if you touch the walls, they're going to go into walls. How hard can they pack the walls? You can't put a roller up against it. You know what I'm saying? All you can do is with a backhoe,
Well,
What's your thought?
I think they have the thing that actually vibrates and it kind of compresses it down in. You know what I mean? It's almost like a pneumatic hammer, and I think that's what they use. But I would think they would have to kind of keep them somewhat moist, because I think if they dry out, they'll crumble. But last year I think we saw them watering the wall some, and then they'd go out and they'd pack them every morning or during the midday or whatever it was. But I mean that definitely adds to the. But that's one thing I like about this show. You got to drive. You know what I mean? You have to drive. If you don't drive, you're gonna end up on a wall.
Steve wasn't a fan of that, and I told him that's what this is. You have to be ready to compete with all sides of it. You need to beat the drivers on the track. You need to be cognizant of where you are on the track, because you have to make sure that you don't get beaten by the wall.
Yeah, no doubt.
But let me be the other guy here. At this level,
You always are.
Yeah, well, I'm just going from the driver's side. At this level,
You're not a driver. How would you know that side?
I used to be.
Oh, okay.
At this level, do you want to have to be competing against a track? I think what a lot of drivers, and this was Sam's thought process here, I think a lot of drivers are saying at this level, I literally just want to compete against
the
another guy
drivers.
in his car.
Yep.
I don't want to be competing against cars and walls, and I can go to a county fair and do that. I think what guys, and I think that's where Sam was going, was trying to just make it driver versus driver, right?
Yeah, take the
Now, but him listening to the drivers, I think some of the drivers said, like, you know what, let's go in smaller increments. I don't think we should go as hard as we're going this year and concrete walls.
Right.
I think let's just go as hard as we're going and then, look at it next. Because it's a big transition from last year to this year. Stuff got real hard. And on the track, it got real hard. So all of a sudden, it's like, I think guys were double thinking it a little bit.
yeah, absolutely.
That track was pretty heavy last night. I mean, just in the bucket loads that they were dumping out.
Yeah, there's definitely moisture in the clay. It's definitely gonna be very fast paced.
oil.
Yeah, and oil and coolant and.
But the cool thing about this place is the track. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it that you don't, at this level, you don't want to run against beating the track, but that's part of Blizzard Bash, is the track.
But the thing is, too, though, is like I think maybe Ben said that this is like this show is almost like the NASCAR of
Absolutely.
Derbian. But when you go to NASCAR, you not only compete against the other drivers, you compete against the track, and that's what you do here. You know what I mean? You definitely have to be on your A game, and
kind of that's Derbian. I mean, at every track you go to, you compete against drivers, and not only the track, but sometimes it's the weather. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Here, there's no weather problems, which
No.
is real nice. So that is
No.
one thing that's out.
And then weather-wise, it's like beautiful.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
we-
74.
yeah, we're getting pretty spoiled there today. Which that's another thing though. It's going to be beautiful all weekend. So I'm thinking with the temperature, they may even keep the big door open at the end, which
Yeah.
means it will be crystal clear and beautiful.
Yep.
So anybody that was concerned about that, plus we saw them installing some new ventilation stuff when we got here.
Yep.
So I think that problem is going to be non-existent. And if there was anybody that was teetering on the edge, I'd come on out and watch it in person, because it's going to be something you don't want to miss.
Tompkins, David Day says there's an insane glare coming off your head. You got to put a hat on.
Not happening.
Bald bull.
Not happening. For the record, how many fans would like to see Josh Jacker show up to one of these with a black eye?
You know what? That's fine. I don't even care. Like one day we should just let people for like $20 punch me. You know, I really could make a ton of money.
You'd have a lot of people lined up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
oh my God.
I don't know the last time it was you got
You'd have, like,
punched.
a lot of
but
people.
That stuff hurts after a while, buddy. You're not
Well,
18 anymore.
I'll do a lot for money. You know, money's the root of all evil. You guys know me.
Where were you this morning?
Always hustling.
I was taking a nap and then
Taking a
I got
nap.
breakfast.
chilling
and
out.
then
He did get breakfast
Yeah.
I shaved.
once for the week.
Shaved for
See,
the first time this month and the last time this month.
It was
much.
funny for all day yesterday. Josh was, being a pain in my butt and busted my chops all day. What's he do today to try to make up for it? Text me and ask me if I want
See,
breakfast.
I'm not as bad as the guys you
he
say all the
really is
time.
a sweetheart.
It's Italian side of me. You got to feed everybody.
No, if it was the Italian side, you would have cooked for us.
Well,
Oh,
that
boy.
Italian.
Here
I'm only
we
half
go.
Italian.
There we go. On the topic of the Italian thing, I saw some Rosa decals.
Yes,
Cool was
very
that?
cool.
All 4 cars had them on there, and it's really special to me. The Salpas are such great people. Just really, we got to hang out with them a little bit last night, and man, they're funny.
The
such a
stories. I could just sit around and listen to those guys talk about derbies. I mean,
Absolutely.
because they've competed in so many. They competed all over. It's just so cool to listen to them talk.
It's for guys out here that have never heard of them or just hearing of them now. They've been around forever.
Oh, yeah.
They've been kicking butt forever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
No
hearing
doubt.
old stories about like running Imperials and
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy talking to that whole group.
No
just
doubt.
Really good people. And Ben and I made their shirts. Beast from the East shirts.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. Like they didn't call and ask us. They just said like hey, you're part of the team. It's like God, I love you guys.
They have some awesome Crash Course stickers on the cars.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yep.
They like we were talking before with they bring a different dynamic with them being 2 brothers, a cousin,
Yep. Yep.
running forever. The years of experience you literally have running together.
I'm going to keep stuffing that in your face, and you're going to keep
Yeah.
pulling away from it. Just understand how the game works.
I'll be headed to the inspection line in a minute. Then.
Well, nobody
But,
can hear you. I mean,
But no, they're
There we go.
they bring that different dynamic to where they have that many years experience together actually driving, and for them to be on a team in team style event, I'm very, very anxious to see them run and see them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they get yelled at all the time for
Team
teaming up-
driving.
team driving.
Yeah.
Now they can actually
Remember,
no, I can see
remember
it.
at Stoneboro.
No, it was Brookville when they were beating
Brookville.
up on Tice, right?
beating up
No,
Brad
I-
Tice.
I was-
Yeah.
I was talking about Stoneboro when Mark had Todd's car and Steve had his own car. Mark is way over here and Steve is way over here. They red flagged it and told them that they got to stop team
sorry.
driving. They were at opposite ends of the track.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Red flagged it. You guys got to hit.
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, actually, Chris.
Got that taken care of. Busy. I can't believe all the people. I mean, think about this, right? It's the middle of a Wednesday. It's 1 o'clock at home. There's 100 people watching. 100. Oh, close.
Go to work.
They probably are. at
Oh
work.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're
Derek.
lying. What would you
Lying.
like, Candace?
Need something,
Candace, you wanna
Candace?
come on, Candace? Oh, how do we pronounce his last name? Lemon.
Okay.
Say it again.
Got it.
Lemonadger.
I'll let Chris say it for the week.
Lemonadger.
Candace said.
Candace said it was Lemonadger.
It's Chris's fault. He's the boss. He said it wrong, so we're gonna blame it on him.
No,
Queen of
I've
Demolition
actually-
Derby, Candace. You are. We're calling you the Queen of Demolition Derby. Candy Cane. We love you. Candace is the best.
And probably,
Hey, right here. Here's the man. Huh? Mr. Keel, how you doing, sir?
might be the scariest grandfather in Demolition Derby.
He's awesome. Yeah, I was talking to Jesse this morning. I think he's watching us right now. Is his dad coming through? And Jesse really is one of the guys too that got us out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Jesse changed my life. Jesse was the first guy to build me a car out of state, and virtually started that whole Bill Decker a car thing. So I owe Jesse Keel big time. And I love his dad. I'll tell a story. I went to his house. We went to Minnesota one time to run. You remember this?
Yeah, I do. When
We
you
walk
shocked me
into-
with a starter.
Yeah.
That was
That was funny. I wasn't doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he was.
We weren't doing it on
I
purpose.
wasn't doing it on purpose. Josh said, laughing.
Just like that.
Oh, jeez.
He goes,
Well,
I
anyways.
mean it totally, friend to friend. Yeah. I know how this
No,
goes.
it wasn't just business.
It was a good
No,
time.
we had a short. We were putting out.
No, there wasn't a
It was
short.
Yeah.
It wasn't a short. They
Well,
had a hot
anyways,
wire.
We walk into this garage and they
Put
got
a
a.
nut on the.
Hey, you had to learn. You learned today.
No one wants to listen to you.
We walked into their garage and they have a lift in there, and his dad was using a plasma cutter. He had shorts, no shirt, no shoes. He's standing on the ground.
Oh, he had
in his-
flip-flops on.
Did
He
he?
had
No, I
flip-flops.
don't think so. I think he was barefoot.
It could be.
Isn't that how you
It wouldn't surprise
He's
plasma?
plasma, and it's his whole body. He plasma for an hour like that. It's like this guy's. You remember that? He was welding with no. He was welding
Anything.
with no mask. He's just welding, welding and welding. He's like, I don't wear a mask. Like, how do you do this? That guy was the awesomeness. That day, I'm like, this guy is awesome. I love
How does
Mr.
your beard
Keel.
not catch on fire?
He's awesome. You know?
It's great.
But it's fun to go to different places to watch and build with different people to see.
Like Florida? You ever go to Florida, Josh?
Oh my God, it was awesome. Florida was awesome. JC Molly's shop
DeSoto,
is
whoops,
great.
DeSoto Speedway.
JC's here. JC's here helping helping the Siopas.
Yep, he flew all the way
So
from
he
Florida.
flew up.
The whole group of them coming actually.
Came across Florida to Texas and up.
Yep, very cool. You know, I always kept telling him what he was going to see here, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm telling you, you got to go. This will blow your mind.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he came. I think he really is seeing like, holy cow.
Yeah.
You excited?
Yeah, it's always good to hear those motors running.
So what specifically is the shocker that came through?
I didn't see it.
It's that one right there, I think, isn't it?
Josh.
I haven't seen it yet.
It'll be on the list here
I'm going to
before
take
too
some
long.
time and I got to get.
I think it's a 4-door Newport.
Did you learn anything? I saw you had your phone out a lot, but I assume you're just...
No, I didn't.
No, but Ben hasn't started teaching them yet. We're gonna wait, and then we're gonna go to school.
Josh had his phone out to write a text message back, and one of the drivers that wasn't even with the car that was being texted, Decker, put it away, no pictures.
No, you know what I do is I follow Ben around all the time because then whenever Ben has an idea, he'll go, "Oh, Decker, look at this. This was my idea with this," and it's like, "Yeah, I'm listening." You know, and that's how I learn the good stuff. You just gotta follow Ben around because a lot of stuff you look at. I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. You're gonna come out here from out east, and you're gonna look at a lot of stuff, and you're gonna say, "Okay, I get it." You're missing half
You
of
don't
what
get it. You don't get it.
You're not getting it. Now, Ben was pointing out some things today, and again, it's just engineering. It's just math and geometry and things like that. But when you see something, it's not always what you see.
Absolutely.
You know?
if you're not, if you say you're not learning anything coming to a show like this, then obviously
you're
not
crazy.
you're not looking, because I don't care who you are, you learn something new every
Absolutely.
show, every year, and everything else, because everybody's constantly thinking, constantly evolving, constantly progressing everything, and it's just it's like a big think tank, you know, and it's just.
And you know, the big thing with here is it's everybody's top-notch stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
there's
It's
no
their
doubt.
best car,
it's their A
best
game.
protector,
Yeah,
best
it's their A
tires,
game.
best rear, and also their best tricks.
Oh yeah.
So as you're under there looking, you know that this is this guy's full build potential. And sometimes, you know, it's like, let me take an extra few minutes here because I know I'm missing stuff.
Yep.
You know.
Oh yeah, especially, and I love it. When we get home, people are like, "Oh, what'd you see? What'd you see?" You gotta go.
Yep.
I'm not telling you. You know.
And let's be honest, half the stuff we can't do home.
No.
I mean, we just
No
can't even
quarters.
do it. It's not even. It's
Three
not even-
quarters.
But you can look at that and you can get ideas. You
That's
say,
it.
when I go back home, I can try doing this. Well, you can't have this execution of it. It can at least
Well, a lot
start to
of
get the wheels turning.
A lot of that time, that has a reverse effect, because if you don't have all the pieces of the pie and you just try one part of it, you're gonna do more damage than help.
As we were saying before, if you don't put
A lot of
stuff in
guys,
right,
a lot of guys learned that in our area.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well,
there's
you mean-
several
you mean-
guys.
you
There's
mean
some.
you just can't buy all the pieces and it makes a car tough without doing
you're-
anything the right way.
A lot of guys found out that that a lot of guys broke a lot of transmissions in the last 2 years.
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say that because everyone's in our area. It's like, okay, no tranny brace. Well, I still can take this DP and shove it right in here. No, you can't. No,
You can.
It's not
Well,
gonna-
you can. You
Absolutely
but,
can.
Well,
you
you're
know,
2 minutes in making one hit. I mean, look how many guys we saw in and just locally. First hit, second hit of the Derby. I mean, I can list a bunch.
Oh yeah.
And it's all from the flex.
Yeah.
you
Please
know,
do.
it's- No.
Name names, Josh.
No. No.
I think back home, though, I think the closest we have to this, close to home would be Keystone Nationals, though. Because, I mean, those cars are built pretty nasty tough. And, it's good to see the Psyopas here because I think they can compete out here. I really do. I mean,
obviously,
they can compete.
Yeah.
By the looks of all the spray paint on the cars, they're ready.
They can
They're in the
they can
game.
build with
Yeah,
anybody.
they're in the game.
They're in the
They're
game.
you know,
Look at that car.
Sure. 2-door. Gully's drooling on that one.
Isn't that the car you said you'd crush in one shot, Decker?
Yeah, right.
Was that what you were saying?
I heard he's calling out Mike Brown for a one-on-one
Adam.
one-on-one match race.
A match race. That's not a good decision,
That's
Josh.
stupid.
That's one of the dumbest things you've ever done, calling
Break
him out.
both my wrists, my face off the steering.
By the
wheel.
way, Josh Decker will be right here at this table all weekend, Mike. If you want to come and talk with him about it, feel free.
We'll have the camera out for that one.
Interestingly though, there's not a lot of guys
Interestingly,
that,
Josh, you've never been punched in the face on camera. I just realized.
Yes,
that.
he has. Yeah, he has.
Oh yeah, well, no. has
Yeah,
he?
yeah. You had it on camera at Yates County.
Oh, I mean,
I didn't get punched. I was doing the punching, Brian. I was doing the punching. Not that fighting school.
I meant on the live stream.
Not that fighting school at all, but if you're going to do the punching, If you're going to do it.
Words to live by. Not the fighting is cool, but if you do the
Start
punching.
swinging.
I was always told it's better to
Ben,
give
what do
than
you see
receive.
from here? You're eagle-eyed and you're dying to get over there. I know. So, but what do you see from here that's got you interested right now?
He's not going to say.
He never will. I don't.
it's not going to happen.
He may talk to us about it later. We're in the room hanging out, but he's definitely not going to say it here.
I like what he did with the paint. He did some interesting things with the
Nice
paint.
body lines on that.
Yeah.
Did some interesting things with the paint and the areas within the vicinity of the paint. That's all we're gonna get from Ben.
Possibly the metal underneath the paint, if there is metal.
I'll tell you
Assuming.
what, we're getting underneath some of them cars, dude. There's some of the blackest, cleanest.
Oh.
You see Steve Siopas?
Yeah,
I never seen something like that.
yeah. That was
That
pretty
the-
nice.
That was like factory black. It was like factory black that was shined.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That was
You seen it?
Put a coat of wax on it, did they?
I don't know. Mighty shiny.
Just like the one Josh ran this year.
Not that shiny.
That 40 just ran a couple weeks ago. Was pretty clean.
Well, it was Florida.
Yeah, Florida clean.
Yeah, you were saying the cars down there, like they were talking about how rusty they were,
Oh,
and they
GC
were the
Molly's
best
like,
cars you've ever seen.
You can't find cars anywhere. There's no cars in Florida. They're all rusty. From my hotel window, I could see 10. There was things everywhere.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I was really disappointed you didn't drive home in like a Driver Imperial or something from
okay,
there.
JC, he knows where two are, right by his house, and one of them was drive it home. It was $700 each. He had to buy the pair though. So it's like, damn, I'm racking my brain. It's like I can't. But I drive one and my flat told my old lady behind me. I don't know.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, what if it was like the 70s? We could have done it. I can't do it now. I've heard some old stories of guys bringing
Listen,
cars
this
from
is
the
what
south.
you should. This is what you should have got. 2 big moving vans like the Siopas had for their parts. Put one in the back of each and drove them home.
Big U-Hauls.
U-Haul. Yep.
I hauled the car home almost like that once. A buddy of mine worked for Elder Lee.
Took a steak
We,
rack
we
truck.
took a steak rack truck down the Mark Benjamins, backed it in the ditch, loaded a Newport on, and drove. I don't even think we. Yeah, I don't even think we tied it down.
No, we didn't. We just put the racks back
It
on.
sat in it?
Yeah,
Oh, my
Fit
God.
right in there.
and then we got close to my parents' house. 'Cause it was before I was married, and we went to the local town barns, backed up to their loading dock, unloaded it, and I drove home with no plates.
Awesome. Good old days.
I miss those days.
Good old days.
Yep, that was a $400 driver Newport, and the only thing that was wrong with it is somebody had drove it into a ditch or something, and a signpost had like come up and poked a hole in the trunk pan. Yep,
I
driver,
remember
beautiful
my
car.
county fair, people would drive cars home right out
Well,
of the track.
isn't that the one Mark put in a ditch chasing a deer?
I don't remember. I don't remember the whole story on that one, but it was pretty nice.
Oh, boy.
Selective memory.
Hitting deer with your derby car. Different style of hunting.
I'm pretty sure that happens a lot down in your area. It did
Different
happen a
style of
lot.
hunting. Oh, I believe it. I believe those guys would do that.
I've heard stories of windows blowing out of cars that had been for sale or were going to go for sale.
Oh, I've heard. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
What you're saying.
but what do you think, Chris Marquardt?
I'm just in awe. I mean, every year we've come out here, it's been the biggest derby that we go to, and we talk always about it's huge. It's huge. Like look at the stuff that Baldwin's showing up now. Chambliss Welding's across from us. Derby
E2.
Tees. Derby Tees took up half the building.
E2?
They're rolling off. E2 with Elvis. He's down there. I got some new art to put on the front of the computer, which I'm going to do during the break. That's supposed to be right there, but it's not there yet. What are you laughing at, Ben? More stuff that he won't talk to us about. We'll get that on there for the Heat Draw show. Heat show is coming up later on tonight. It's going to be an exciting evening, no question. Start time locally is going to be after 7 o'clock anyway. Could be in the vicinity of 8. I know last year it was a little bit delayed just so they were wrapping up a couple cars on the inspection ramps.
What
But
time?
out here, it's going to be after 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We know that much. It'll probably be somewhere in the vicinity of 8 o'clock.
I'm pretty sure you'll put up
9 o'clock.
you'll put up
I'll
a
fill
link.
it all in.
And I want anybody listening out there to know that Chris actually took a break from the table and come over and walked around and looked at cars today.
He did.
I was so shocked. I hadn't seen that. I don't think I've seen that all year.
Well, to be honest, I was concerned that you guys weren't going to come away, and I was going to be talking to myself. I need to have something to talk about.
No, we wouldn't do
Stand
that.
out there. I mean, when you start getting in that area, because as the cars are going through inspection, you talk to that guy.
Stand outside. We're at 72 degrees in November.
Absolutely not.
I'm saying right there. You're hearing some really interesting things.
That Ben,
really interesting.
that Ben won't talk to us about.
No, you got to see.
Oh, he'll talk to us, just not on air. Tomorrow when we're up in our, we'll be tomorrow when we're up in our booth by ourselves and it's locked away. I'm sure there'll be some good talking going on.
You know what we should do next? Let's start like a thing where we charge for Ben's secrets. Like you mail in $10 and then Ben will randomly sell like a fortune cookie. It'll say like hump plates. Move your hump plates. You know? Think about that, Ben. We can make a killing.
What do you mean we? If he's giving the secrets, why wouldn't all the money go to him?
No, absolutely not. I'm the middleman here. You gotta get a percentage on it. I thought of it.
Hey, remind me to tell you about percentages later. You'll love this story.
Okay, all right. Yeah, just give me 25 off the top, and then you guys do whatever.
That's fine.
I thought of it.
The response, a lot of people.
Feel it.
Not up high enough yet.
Sorry, it's going on the other inspection trailer.
Here, if you want, let me fiddle with that. Let me get that other trailer.
Okay.
Well, they shifted them. They moved them down.
I love looking at these cars.
Oh, yeah.
Each one's a piece of work.
Yes.
Art.
Yeah.
Art.
Yeah.
It's art.
Yeah, I can. That's why that's like I said. That's why we always joke that I'm over there all day. Hard to find me. That's where I want to
Looks
be.
great. It looks great. Yep.
Is it on that one now?
Yep. It's on the bottom corner one.
Yeah. Click on the button that says Donnie.
Yeah, he can't read.
Click on that.
There you go.
Yeah, beautiful.
Josh just got to play producer.
I didn't like it.
Why does Josh get to do all the fun stuff first?
Well, because
Why do you like Josh better?
Brian,
Well,
that's a duh. No, it's got to be a 1, 2, or 3, Ben, or you think? Right, just
look
back
at the
bumper-wise.
look at the hair on Josh Decker and
Gel,
tell me
dude.
Yeah,
if you need any more.
It was funny when I told the story to the Psyopas that we had to find Josh hair gel after dinner yesterday. And they all were like, yeah, it's hilarious. And then Mark's like, you think that's bad? Check out Steve. So I guess you would Steve
So
were
me and
pretty
Steve
close.
are friends, you know?
We're at the biggest derby in the country, and you dingbats are talking about hair gel.
Hey, Brian's got no hair. He's really jealous.
Not even a little bit. I wish it would never come back.
It's not going to work.
No, I still have to shave. I don't want to shave it. That's what I'm saying.
Ben, what is that? That's got to be a 1, 2, or 3, right?
It's a Buick.
2 or 3, I think. I don't
Just
know.
by the back
I don't
bumper,
know.
I'm just
not
saying
over there.
that. No, I know. It's got to be C-channel in the back. Oh, it is. I can
He
see
just
it.
shook his head. Yeah.
I can see it.
Josh, I asked you to push one button,
That's what I did.
and now look what happened.
Stop. Wet shirt. Okay, so I'm gonna throw this out here. I'm gonna do
There's a mirror inside the car.
a
Front
mirror
rear
inside
view
it.
mirror.
Yeah, he is running a rearview mirror. Smart.
I like that. I really like that
Not
idea.
only that, but those front rims come off of what, Ben?
Explorer.
Exactly.
Ranger
Which
Explorer.
means
Yep.
what? Since that's a GM.
Ford Spindles.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just so you know.
You-
Well, that's it.
No,
The helps
yeah,
is a big deal today, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, here we're seeing it. You know, and it's just me putting it together. You see a Ford front tire on a
That don't mean nothing because of the wheel center.
Well, that's true too.
You know,
That's true too. That's a good point, Ben.
Can you tell just by the sound of the motor?
There's Dial's car. Mopar, baby.
That's I think that's Rachel Lazorik's car. It's up on the list.
No. I thought I saw her driving a newer style Ford. When I walked out earlier, she got into a new style Ford. I don't know if it was hers or not, or she was just moving a team car.
That's the one you saw her driving right there.
Yep. That's one I saw.
That's hers.
Okay.
I remember last year she had number 11 and Jason had number 11. Kind of like that.
Just like that.
It's awesome.
There's no sense in talking when the cars are pulling in.
I really want to take a look at this Mopar when it gets up on the lip.
Yeah, we may have to cut it short to go over and look at that.
He's got 15 minutes. He's going to put us right on time. Right? He'll put us right on time.
15
Sorry,
minutes to
Chris.
put you
We're
right on
done.
time.
Remember, an hour. You said it.
What do you want to do now?
Go over and look at the Mopar.
When it gets on the lip. Ben, if you were going to run a car here, what would it be?
I think
I mean,
we
just
asked
from
this.
seeing
I
this
think we
morning.
asked this Monday night.
Yeah, we wanted to get into that in the car ride out too. And we'll talk about this again through the course of the weekend. But Ben,
Definitely.
so what?
I'd go way out in left field. Probably be old Merc.
How about this for breaking news? Mike Brown is out of Team DMP. Levi Harris in the 80s Modified going to be taking his spot. Mike Brown out.
No.
What? Right there. Just got the report. No other details at this point.
Well, just seen CJ.
sucks.
CJ was walking around here.
How about that for a change of pace?
That sucks. I love Mike.
Wow.
He's a like true hammer.
Oh yeah.
Say every team's got a hammer. He's like the real hammer. He's like the sledgehammer. You know. Boy, that's horrible. I hope that sucks.
Don't know what the scenario is.
This just seems real laid back this year.
Yeah, it does actually.
You
Well,
know,
it's also a first day. Think
maybe
about
because
tomorrow.
because it's an extra day. You know, everybody's here earlier, really.
It's less running around like your chicken with your head cut off.
Right.
Which is, it sucks going to a derby, being late. You get there late, you go through inspection late, you got a call, and then the derby. Sometimes it's better to get there really slow the pace down a little bit. You feel better getting in the car.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps turning around and look behind them when the motors are running. So did you pick a car that you bring here?
Shocker. I mean, I'm dumb.
Oh.
I'd bring a shocker every time. It's the only thing I know how to build.
74 Caddy.
Yeah.
It's a good choice. I mean, Caddy, yeah, that's
Hard to argue against that.
that's actually probably my
74
other
Caddy.
choice. 3 or 4.
Well, that was the discussion we had. If the rules stay the same,
3 or 4. Yeah, you're right on that. I just
if the rules stay the same, it'd be a 74 Caddy.
them Vics look like stupid hard, but just for some reason they don't excite me.
I figured you build a Diplomat.
No.
Maybe St. Regis. You had good luck with those.
I hate them stupid R
I'm
bodies.
pretty sure there's a
Done
St.
with
Regis
that.
coming. I think there was a picture
Yeah,
of it
there
on
is.
Facebook.
It's Guff Miller or something like that. I think. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's the guy that had the Murata up at Crossroads.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, an R body is. I like Cordovas, right?
Jeremy Guthmiller.
Then Diplomat is on the opposite side, and kind of like right inside is that R body because you got like the Diplomat body But you got Cordoba, more Cordoba rails, and you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, they're hunks of crap. I'm just not a big fan of them. Just the ones you saw the video. I didn't get out of a heat. I got a heat of 8.
Yeah, but
that's because 7 were on you.
Well,
and
I should have been able to get through the heat.
And that was like
It was
one of
funny
the
how
first
that
times
worked
you
out.
drove hard.
Shut up. Shut up. My motor and tranny were shoved so deep in that tranny tunnel. I mean, I had to cut everything to get that car out. Thank God I didn't break the tranny. It was lucky because I think it was jammed in there so hard. Unimpressed.
It was stuffed back quite a ways. It made the highlight reel.
Hey, that was my first run on that Magnum.
I think it's in the show open.
Is it?
I
No,
think so.
not anymore. You took it out.
Oh, thanks.
That was like 2 years ago.
Thanks,
That was like
man.
2 years
No,
ago,
I think
dude.
it's still. We'll have to
No,
watch
it's
it
not.
back. I'm pretty sure it's still.
I watch it every Monday night. It's
Can you
gone.
put it back in?
Yeah.
Can you redo it right now?
No.
Show post right now. Just do
Not
all
going to do
deck
that.
clips.
Not going to do that.
No, because Gokinawa is way cooler.
So what the plan is we just like last year, we had all these grand plans on how we were going to pull a bunch of drivers over, and nobody wants to walk away from their cars because they want to be so focused and dialed in on what's going on and the conversations that are happening over there in that inspection line. So what we'll probably do is we'll regroup once we get close to wrapping up inspection, and we're going to be able to get that wireless microphone so you'll be able to hear the whole conversation that goes on during the driver's meeting, and then we'll move into the heat draw show. So we'll be back with everybody tonight, and we'll have far more information at that point.
And I think at nighttime it's a little bit easier to get hold of guys after they relax a little bit after heat draw, because like as the day goes on, tension's gonna get tense. And then when after your heat draw, it's like, all right, let's go have a drink.
How much relaxing is anybody doing right now?
I don't know. Some guys look good, relax wise. Other guys are very stressed out.
It all depends on if they got their list yet.
Yeah, the guys without lists are good.
No, I'd say opposite.
No.
I'd say opposite. 'Cause you're all worried about like what's gonna get through, what's not.
They're wondering when the welding supply truck's going to show up.
Yep. You ever see like on the Mexican border they got like this truck that pulls up against vehicles and can take X-rays of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same next year.
They have it on the
a truck
Canadian
right
border
here.
too, bud.
What's that?
They have it on the Canadian. When we haul cars home from Canada from buying race cars, we pull up underneath those and they do it. It's kind of neat.
Well, how smart would it be just to boop, boop, right? Then you can see inside rails. You can
That's.
see everything.
I think that's what they're doing for Retech tomorrow, getting the X-ray machine out.
Yeah, I don't think that was. I think that was supposed to be a secret.
You watch 10 years from now, all of a sudden you're gonna have to like drive through. I'm gonna make it, guys.
There's not.
I'm gonna make a machine for inspection lines.
What's that?
There's not an X-ray machine.
You only need one guy.
Josh Decker would know.
Hey, Sam
Yeah,
said there's
Josh.
some special tools today, so who knows? X-ray machine
Surprise.
is smart.
Josh
Surprise
Decker has
toys.
his finger on the pulse of demolition derby in
Yes.
America.
Yeah.
Josh is more connected than New York Telephone.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That is true.
But you fake it well. Let's be honest. You fake it
I'm a
really
salesman,
good.
man. I'm a salesman. It's all about perception.
I asked Mike Worth if he got a hold of you to ask you if you knew what a welder smelled like.
Yeah, because when guys weld in his garage, he stands out there and talks to them while they're welding and stuff.
Well, Brian stood in my garage for 3 hours while I welded a bumper on. Brian, don't forget about that.
Actually, he did do something to that car, though, if I
He did.
remember right.
Yeah, he wrote his number on it.
And boy, did that cause a scandal.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
There were friendships lost over that.
It's all right.
No biggie. Wasn't a
Good
big.
ones, anyone?
Yeah. Wasn't a big friendship.
I thought you guys were closer than that. You just threw that friendship away like it was nothing.
Absolutely.
Hey, I gotta say Mike Worth on JYD. I gotta say all JYD's teams motors are insane. And if anybody's been watching us for a few years, 2 years ago at Wadena,
Yeah.
2 years ago at Wadena is where you run it the first time, and
He
it
showed
blew
up
my
with an
mind.
IMCA modified motor.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I never heard something rap so fast.
He
so-
was telling us
my
that
God.
one of the, and I don't remember who, I think maybe Booger picked up a new one,
Yeah,
and
Booger got a new motor.
and that's pushing over 600 horsepower.
Yeah. Oh man, when you tell people back east, like, yeah, I'm going to this derby, there's gonna be like 50 cars with 500 plus horsepower. It's like, yeah, right. They don't even believe you.
Yeah.
Nah, you're gonna.
It's insane.
This is NASCAR. I don't care. This is the top quality. I mean, could it ever get higher where guys are having $30,000 motors? I don't think so.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Do you think
Somebody
so?
will. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
there's always something better.
Modified drivers, dirt modified, Northeast style modified drivers, they spend $40,000-$50,000 on a big block and it's nothing.
Yeah.
That's what you have to have.
Yeah.
Right, but just going derby wise, can you keep a $50,000 motor cool? I mean, could they keep one of those cool enough.
Funny you should ask that question. Yeah,
I bet you
keep a $50,000 motor a little too cool.
If you throw $50,000 at something, you can make it do whatever you want. All it takes is money.
But you're saying running methanol?
What's that?
You're saying running methanol or something?
No, I mean, that helps, but you can keep them. There's other ways to keep them cool.
There's the guy to ask right there. He's going to come over. Can you keep...
No, get up. Okay.
Nah, I don't think he wants to come on the show.
He don't want to sit down.
I don't think he wants to sit down. You want to sit down? All right. So I had a question, just to, because you're on the camera now. There you are, leaning over the shoulder. We had a debate. Is it possible to keep a $50,000 motor cool? And I said, as long as you throw $50,000 on it, you can make that motor do whatever you want. Okay, there you go.
There was the answer.
Good answer.
There you go.
Well, I was saying, like, what's the progression next? Like, you know, there's guys here with there's a bunch of $10,000 motors, but like, will you ever see derbies with $30,000 and $40,000 and $50,000 motors? I mean, because at some point it's.
Are we at the? Are we at the limit of what people are going to be willing to invest? Because the cars are becoming so hard now. You're running the risk of breaking blocks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we got 3 at the shop right now, and probably.
This is.
I mean, we're 15 grand.
3 for 15 grand each. Wow, and that's awesome. Oh,
I think really.
We're talking dark, Callie's, I mean, all.
Wow.
They're dirt track, full-on dirt track motors.
Dirt track. That's awesome.
But are they going in derby cars?
Yeah.
They are.
Brian's motor is got all high-end stuff that's more derby.
Here, take a seat, please.
So-
You got to talk for
Yeah.
2 minutes on here because I know people are like, no, I got it. People want to hear. I know they do. Take a seat.
So everybody got up. What happened there? So good to see you, by the way. So tell us a little bit more about this. I mean, it seems to me that Demolition Derby is so much of keep up with the Joneses type stuff. So all it's going to take is one person to spend $15,000, and that is suddenly going to be the standard. Now that person has to drop. Everybody has to come up to that level. So it's only going to take somebody to make that, to be the first one to make the jump, and after that, that's going to be the hot setup to have.
Yeah, but where's the line where it's just straight wasteful?
Well, I mean, for the average right now, we're doing, I would say, brand new GM blocks, Eagle rotating assemblies, and most of those motors are rolling out at $7,500 to $9,000. I mean, that's the average ticket that rolls out of those.
Wow. And
That's
how
all.
many would you do in a month? Would you just rough?
We're doing, probably doing 125, 150.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, not all derby stuff. We do a lot of circle track stuff
Mhm.
as well, and drag stuff's starting to pick up a little bit more too. But
So that's one every other day.
yeah,
Wow.
I mean, in a good week, we kind of roll them in series. We'll do 3, 4, 5 a week, and then we'll prep all the blocks.
Right.
To do everything the next week, and then build. You know, we're probably getting 12, 14. Yeah, it just depends. Freshens obviously go a lot faster.
So your background, because I mean, you guys are blowing up. You know, your background was Demolition Derby, or you started in a different motorsports and evolved into it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been circle track stuff.
Don't be afraid to jump right around the microphone so everybody can hear you.
Circle track stuff we've been doing for years. Derby stuff we've done at our local Southern Missouri for, I don't know, probably 15 years. And they kept telling me, you got to get on We Crash.
Right,
You got to
right.
get on this. It's been, I guess, six years ago now, I guess, 7, whatever it's been. But, and it's just,
Jumped.
it's went crazy ever since. So,
So right now, in your guys at your business, is Demolition Derby the most?
oh, absolutely. We're
Yeah, so you-
probably 75%.
So you really are a vendor that makes a living on Demolition Derby.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It's awesome. Did we think 30 years ago? I don't think any Demolition Derby guy thought anyone would ever make a living on selling parts or motors. I mean, think about that.
No way.
It's very cool.
I wouldn't have, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have. I mean, it just, circle track stuff obviously is all throughout the country.
Sure.
It's big everywhere.
Sure.
And the derby stuff, I just didn't realize how big it was.
Right.
You know, until I started getting on We Crash and seeing, you know, it's okay in our area, but it's not like it is in the rest of the country.
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys have had a lot of success with pulling tractors as well.
Yeah. A lot of truck pull stuff. That stuff's faded a little bit. The money invested on those. I mean, we got $35,000 to $45,000 in one of those motors, and they win $250.
Yep, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, this is the only sport that actually pays.
Right.
Even your circle track stuff. I mean, dirt modified motors are 15 to 20 grand, 25 grand,
And they're winning 500 to 1,000.
and burning $500.
See, I never got racing, and this is just me personally. I never got racing because it's like these guys don't get their money back at the end of the week. At least when I'm out there, I'm running for $1,500, $2,000, and I have these guys. I mean, you got to win a lot of races to get your money back.
Oh yeah, and I don't think you ever come out circle track racing, but I mean, not everybody wins at this either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a ton of people that got a lot of money invested, and
So where do you see the progression? What do you see next in the next few years coming out, or what's the next big thing?
I don't know. The LS stuff really took off big there for a little bit, and it has definitely faded.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest thing I think is because of the cradles.
Sure. Exactly.
There's just not a lot of them available, and they're a little bit more complicated, a lot more wiring.
Yep.
People are just a little hesitant of it. Obviously, the dark block stuff. Cradles are keeping the blocks safer now, so that's helping. The dark blocks definitely help. Our new pistons definitely help a bunch. All those motors, they got that new stuff in them this year. I think every one of them have won shows everywhere they've been. So.
See, from we're from New York.
Yeah.
New York is so far behind. I mean, Baldwin Motors and stuff are I mean, I don't even know 3 guys that have them. I mean, big motors in our way are just starting to catch on. Everyone, and I've always been old school. I run old Chrysler blocks, but I've been starting to get into Magnum blocks. I know guys are running the LS, but I think Vortex. For that, to me, I think that's more for the guy that's trying to step up their motor game a little bit, but don't have the money. Because let's be honest, not everyone has the money to go out and buy a new. I don't, and I derby a ton, and I can't spend it. But I think the middle ground there is the LSs and the Magnums and the Vortex. And then I think if you're going to go all the way up to your level, why go LS?
Yeah.
Why not go? You know what I'm saying? That's how I looked at that. So I seen it when I went to Utah. There's all these guys saying they did all this money into Magnum blocks. I just redid this whole. I got 5,000. I said, you're missing the point of the Magnum. The Magnum to me is a $500 motor that you go and beat the crap out of, and then you throw it away and get another one, right? That's my thought. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean that's the same way as the LS. We've got probably 10 big LS motors out there, and they all do well.
I got a bunch of people that are listening intently to what you're talking about, but they can't hear you. So if you could just jump up.
We got a lot more LSs out there that we just sell the conversion kits to.
Yes.
Stock, put a set of head studs in them. And
Yep.
Carburetor and ignition kit and let it go.
What's something like that run?
Carburetor, complete conversion kits, $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
And you can.
Yeah, so for $2,000 you got a screamer instead of $8,000.
You're gonna make those motors dyno. If you don't do anything to a 5.3, depending on what it come out of, they're gonna dyno at 330 horse, 350, 60 foot-pounds of torque, and they're gonna run good. I mean, they cool decent. But they're weak. They're weak in the bell housing area. That's where they're gonna break. If you don't have them cradled. So I think that's been.
But you can get a 1-inch cradle and it'll fix all that.
Yeah.
Now, it's really interesting to hear you say these things because these are the little things that people don't know the difference of them. Just you'd say like, well, everyone runs LSs, they're great. Well, what's the ins and outs of them?
Yeah.
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 No, that's
Like I
interesting.
said, you got the wiring. Not that it's that complicated. You only got 2 sensors that are really. You got a cam and a crank.
Yep.
And then obviously your coil wiring, but that stuff very rarely ever fails. I mean, it does from time to time, but and if it does, you pop a sensor in and you go. The new that new Daytona box we've been running, it's actually got LED lights on the box, so it shows you if
That you're running.
if you've got a crank or a cam sensor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you know.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
You can kind of diagnose where the MSD
Wow.
box you didn't have that option.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Holy cow!
That's very neat. Smart.
How hard do you have to hit an LED light to blow it?
Probably not.
They're all self-secured, and I don't think you ever heard one of those. They're completely waterproof. And
So when a guy calls you, let's say a guy calls you, what is a selling point? What are your selling points? Because I know guys are going to say, I want it to be loud. I want a lot of horsepower. What should be guys thinking about? Torque, horsepower, cooling? What is the things?
everybody always wants horsepower, obviously, but torque is more important. And that's where we've now that we dyno everything, we've been changing cam profiles and working on that to get that torque to hang in there a lot longer, get more torque out of it. Yeah, and they're going to build horsepower when they do that too, obviously. But the torque is more important because you want to be able to go from 0 to the hit.
Absolutely.
That's where your torque comes from. So obviously you can throw gear in anything and you can make it do that. But if you've got a motor built, and put gear to it, you're going to be that much better than everybody else.
Yes.
So,
Now, is there ever a time where you tell people they're going too high in gear, or you just say go whatever you feel like?
well, Ryan last year with 513s and 23s, with the way that motor was, it was never going to hold it.
It was screaming. It was screaming.
This year we've got it. He can still break it. Anything can break it. We've got it built pretty stout there.
I don't know if we can see anything on that camera. Not yet. And they see me messing with the board, and they're telling me, your microphone's not working, your microphone's working. No, Jeff is just a really even and quiet guy that makes motors that are really loud. He's just,
Well,
Let the motors talk.
it's definitely something that it's a lot of people think they know a lot of stuff about motors, but then like what is the ins and outs that make demolition derby motors great? I mean, yeah, you could say like, okay, I was a race car guy, I know this and that, but it's not the same.
No, it's definitely not the same. I mean, your circle track motors are obviously tight clearances. We work oil systems and all that stuff in those too, but the derby stuff, you have to build in clearance to handle when there's no water.
Right.
So
when you started getting into derby, were you literally just chucking motors out there and saying like, just go run them and let's see what happens when you blow them up?
yeah, we had.
It's awesome, man.
One of our guys there local lives 5 miles from me. We were stock cars. I mean, so we would do something and he'd take it out and run it, and we would try to burn them down.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
to see what broke, and then we bring them back and figure out why it broke, and just we bought some NASCAR motors out of back when they used to sell them years and years ago, 10, 12, 14 years ago, and that's where the squirter stuff came from. We seen it in those blocks and started transferring that over, and that obviously has helped a bunch. The cam bearings was the next thing that
Right.
We failed cam bearings
Yes.
over and over and over. Developed our own, and those have worked really, really well. We've got a new one now that we're using from Molly Motorsports that's doing even better yet.
Different materials?
Different material, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So we don't have to give them as much clearance. Ours was a bronze, Luma bronze type stuff, and we had to open the clearances up. We lose some oil pressure, not enough to ever hurt anything, but these new bearings are high heat, tighter clearances.
Yeah.
We don't give up anything.
We have a write-in question for you. Do you take questions? How do you put 600 plus horsepower to the track with a rigid built car? Stock big block Mopars will do more with less RPM than Sam Bandow.
Okay.
Fair question.
As far as building the horsepower to
How do you get the big horsepower to hook up with a rigid car?
Right. That's a good point.
I mean, right now it's all in tires, I think. I mean, obviously the car's not flexible at all.
Right.
So you better have a tire that's going to grip.
I mean, you look at like a late model when you're talking about putting horsepower to the ground.
Yeah.
The rear end will actually suck underneath the car,
Yeah.
and you've got your third link and everything, the way that it swings, and the back end will rotate.
Yeah, they're designed.
That's all gone when it comes to a derby car now. They're so hard.
Plus you're sitting on a tire that's 14 inches wide and it's soft as butter. I mean, so they're designed to do that. So yeah, it's a definite problem. I mean, there's a guy back home that's running some forklift tires that are basically a paddle.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
airless, airless tires.
Yep. So whenever you come to some of these derbies, you watch some of these derbies and you hear the cars on the track. You ever start saying to yourself like that motor's about to go, or that's a hunk of crap? Or what do you when you're watching it? What are you saying?
Last year when Ryan's was coming across the track, I was like, yeah, we're about done with that one.
Yeah.
There was pieces of what used to be valves going out through the stacks.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was,
But also he was running it as hard as you can.
oh yeah.
That's as hard as you can run that.
And that motor was,
Did that kind of serve as a good advertisement for you?
it actually did.
Absolutely.
Because look how hard it is to blow this thing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't have any negative
No.
effect. at
No,
all.
definitely not.
It's,
Not many guys are going to push it harder than he was.
No.
You know.
That's the hardest I've ever seen one. And we were way underbuilt on that one. And I've never seen anybody drive like that before. So I mean,
That's awesome.
We had to rethink how we were building it. I mean, the show at Sturgis, those motors were screaming down there. I mean, there's guys pushing stuff well beyond where they're supposed to be.
See, for where we come, we're a little bit different in this. Our heats are 10 minutes,
Right.
but it is true flat footing. I mean, it is just in it, neutral drop, and that's just our style. And I'm kind of excited that this is swinging our
Don't
way
you
a
start
little
backing
bit.
off the microphone too. Jeez, we had
Well,
Ben.
I'm right on
Ben
it.
didn't want to.
Nah,
Does people want to hear this?
I'm
conversation?
excited. I'm excited to see it come our way because I think we push them to the limit. But we're running old blocks, they're all worn out and all that, and it's a game changer. These motors. I mean, I've driven a few. Siopa's had I run a baby Baldwin, right? They call it their baby Baldwin. I love that thing. And I got it around the track great. Never got hot, never got warm. We got out. It ran 2 derbies back to back. Both were like 45 minutes back to back. And we got out, and he's, no, just go park it over there. And it's like, oh my God, my motors don't do that, So I learned the difference with the quality that you're building is it is a lot different than just running an old 305.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're designed to do, the dynos helped us tremendously. You can, obviously the track is the true test, but we can do a lot of stuff on the dyno and simulate some of it, so.
So like, let's say a guy's he's gonna buy a motor. Is there some kind of motors that you say to go after, or some that you say like totally stay away? I would stay away from Ford 302 blocks, or I would stay away from Chrysler big blocks. Or is there anything out there that's kind of like not truly a good derby motor? You would not suggest it.
I don't know. We'll build anything, obviously with the same kind of technique. Every motor's gonna be a little bit different, obviously, but I don't know. Your big block stuff is just big, heavy.
Yeah.
It's.
I agree.
The Ford heads typically do not crack. Chrysler stuff typically does not crack. Chevy is terrible.
Right.
On stock heads.
Right.
So, the stock Chevy heads we do not use, or we try not to use. We're Dart,
Yep.
RHS, when RHS was doing iron head stuff. Some World stuff. We had a few problems with Worlds. We don't use them a whole lot, but yeah, it's your small block Chevy is obviously the most used.
But is it
How
the
about-
most
wait,
used?
wait a
'Cause-
second. On that topic, you brought up something when you said the Ford heads don't typically crack, and it made me think of Sean Gokenauer. When you build a motor that's going to run on alcohol, what do you do different between that versus a regular fuel machine?
Alcohol stuff, we typically change piston wall clearance, ring gaps, compression. Obviously has to be, you don't have to push it up, but to make the alcohol perform like it needs to be higher. But it's going to run so much colder, the intakes will freeze. It'll
Yes.
frost. So, and it's just from the fuel, but the alcohol and the E85 is so hard to keep consistent. The alcohol is not as bad as E85. We hardly do any E85 stuff just for
What
that.
makes it hard? What makes it not consistent?
You guys are cold right now. You're probably at E70, and we're back home. We're probably still at E85, E80, and you bring tune-up that I've done back home, bring it to here, and put your fuel in it, and your carburetor's totally out the
Really?
window. So your jetting, air mixtures, everything's off.
So what's your suggestion? Do you suggest guys even trying to tackle that for a derby motor?
The alcohol works well. Just you burn almost twice as much. You can't see the fire. It's got its drawbacks. We're running a lot of VP 113.
Thankfully, that fuel technology with the methanol, they've got additives and stuff in it to the point where you can at least see some of the
you can see
fires
some
now.
blue. Yeah, you can see some blue now, but
because that was some scary stuff back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
It's
cow! Like guys would be jumping around, you don't even know why. You know, all of a sudden
So
you just see his
horrible.
clothes changing colors.
That's
you know,
horrible.
Bad.
The VP 113 is it's not a new fuel. We've been running historical track stuff since probably '08. It's an oxygenated fuel. So you enrich your carburetor, usually 4 jet sizes, but it brings the operating temps down some, makes crazy amount of 25 horsepower every time. you
Wow.
put it in, just by changing fuel.
Wow.
So
That's
and
awesome.
It runs so much cooler. You know, so
And you can run it right through any carburetor.
Any carburetor.
Besides your jet, there's not much difference.
no, you jet it up 4 sizes, and we got Ryan's on it, Jason's on it. A lot of our engines are on it now.
There are people
it's hard to
frantically
find.
scrambling for notebooks right now.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
The 113 is hard to find in a lot of areas, so that is a drawback. But if you got VP in your area, it's
Any
good deal.
speed shop's going to have that stuff,
Yeah.
though.
Should be
I
able
mean,
to,
you know, at home, right in Waterloo, you can buy this fuel from Payne Motorsports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's
It's
5 minutes from my house. You
yeah,
get
I
this
mean,
stuff.
if you got a 350.
So back on Chevys, do you think Chevys are the best, or do you think it's because they're so plentiful? Why are they used the most?
Everybody's got them. They're cheaper to build. Stock parts are everywhere. Your aftermarket parts you can buy fairly reasonable. Your Chrysler stuff's through the roof, no matter
That's-
small block, big block.
That's true.
Ford stuff's probably not as bad as Chrysler, but it's still higher.
They made a lot of those 302 blocks.
There's a lot of 302 blocks. We actually just done our first really good small block Ford, sent it up to Pennsylvania. Dyno really, really well. He got one run on it. It was late in the year here, but ran very well, he said. So there's a 302 with a stroker 331 kit in it. made 402 horse and 402 foot-pounds.
Damn, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
And that's the second number that you just said is I've had some conversations with modified motor builders and modified drivers, because in the rare instance that those circle track paths cross with Derby, it's fun to talk about the motors and things like that. And I don't know nearly enough to even pretend, but we did talk about that, and that was one of the things that they always focused on. Was, and we've talked about it here just a few minutes ago, but that the foot pounds are so important, and that's some serious numbers.
Yeah, it really is.
The motor I got in the trailer, it's a 383. It's heading out to California from the show here, but it made. We dined on it yesterday morning. It made 513 foot-pounds and 453 horse.
Damn.
Something like that.
Damn, I need one of these.
Well, he just said Mopar's through the roof, and you have no money.
No, I
So
know.
that's
It's
pretty much the end of
double
your
downer for me.
conversation.
What are your thoughts about Mopar? Because, out here everyone's GM, but like back where we are, there's still a lot of guys running Mopar, And of course, Mopar guys know they're more expensive. But what's your thought actually on the internals of it? They actually worth building, or would you just say like, nah, if you're going to spend the money, shy away from it?
Well, we done 2 high-end Mopars for the Quast up in Minnesota. We hadn't done a lot of Chrysler stuff other than some stock builds, and they had always done really well. So we went out to outsource the heads to Indy out of Indianapolis, and because they're the Dodge guys. I mean,
Okay.
they do all the Mopar high performance iron-headed stuff. They're the only ones that had it.
Okay.
EQ had the Magnum, but I knew there was a lot of changing that had to go into that, so we chose to go with Indy. Built stock lower-ended, good rods, good pistons, Indy cylinder head, Indy rockers, complete Indy heads on them. That was before we had our dyno. It's been back probably 3 or 4 years ago, and we had nothing but trouble. I mean, we broke parts every time they won. They won almost every show with them. They were blown up every show.
Damn.
So we overnight heads, overnight motors, back and forth. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars fixing the motors for them, and out of our pocket, because Indy couldn't. The heads were just terrible. I mean, it's what it boiled down to. We would have been way better off staying with a factory old style head, and we wouldn't have had any trouble with it. But we went with that small valve race head, and it just was awful. So we got one out in Nebraska. Now. We're doing a 408 stroker with a Magnum top end on it. It's been flawless. Wasn't cheap. It was about $8,500.
Damn.
It's been very, very good. It's been out for 2 years now.
But isn't the Magnum top end isn't that the weak part of the Magnum?
On the factory stuff, yeah. We went aftermarket.
Okay.
EQ.
Okay. Teach me about this.
We got started with an EQ Magnum head. We got LS Chevy valves in it. Oldsmobile rocker studs. Small box Chevy rocker arms. Nothing Chrysler in it at all.
That's awesome.
Nothing factory.
That's awesome.
Nothing fit that combination. It was a really weird combo, but it worked very well. And that's why that head's not used because it was very expensive to build it that way, but it held up. It didn't break.
Right.
So the best way to run Chrysler stuff is to fill it full of GM parts.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
That motor made.
Hang your head, Josh.
It was a flat tappet cam. It made I think 444 horsepower and like 540 foot-pounds of torque. Crazy.
So it was running. It was screaming.
It was running well.
Oh, that sounds great, actually. Well, that's cool. Now, I'm glad you came on today because I could ask questions all day. I could ask about carburetors. I could ask about stacks. Oh, you know what? I got a real quick stack question. If I could throw this out there.
Wait a minute. I know what you're going to say.
No, I'm going to go totally different.
You're going to go turnouts.
No, I hate turnouts. And I know you do too, Jeff. You don't have to say it out loud. You sound like a popcorn machine I have. No, my question is, I have a couple old sets of stacks in my garage, and we pull old blocks out. We're switching them on cars, and I started realizing that some of my stacks, the flange holes were small, and other ones were much bigger, like an oval size. And then when you put it up to the block, you realize that a lot of these stacks aren't big enough for the whole hole. They're making restriction, okay? I think I just learned something just by dumb luck, right?
Yeah.
What would you suggest there? That's something that guys should probably look at. It's definitely making a difference in your performance as the Derby goes on, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the faster and better you can get the air out, it's no different bringing the air in, but you got to be able to get it back out too. You definitely want to get something that matches the port.
Right.
You give up torque by going too big of pipes. You don't want to get too carried away with it. 1.5 inches is a little small in my opinion for anything.
Yep.
But 1 5/8 fits what we're doing pretty well. 1 3/4 is good. Anytime you can go to a stepped 1 5/8, 1 3/4 style header. We had Baya up in New York. You guys know
Joe
that.
B.A. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. They done headers for us after the PRI show last year. We talked to them out there, and they developed a header for us. Made 25, 30 more horsepower.
Great.
Same in torque. Only problem was they were $660.
Oh my gosh.
They were crazy expensive.
You can't afford them.
It was too high.
Yeah.
Granted, if you weren't going to get them tore up, that'd be one thing, but not in this sport.
No.
So,
Joe B.A., he runs dirt modifieds, the Northeast style modified, at tracks that are 25, 40 minutes from our house.
yeah.
Oh no, shit.
Yep.
That's
very,
awesome.
very good guys.
Super
They
dude.
build top of the line header stuff. I mean, that's why we went to them first.
Is there a header style that you hate? Let me ask you, when they're real short.
Why don't you let him answer the first
Wait,
question?
I'm doubling it up.
Because I want to hear him say turnouts.
Yeah,
Well,
turnouts
definitely
are terrible.
turnouts. Yeah, thank you, Sam Bandow. I know he's listening. No, like I up our ways. There's some tracks that make us cut our stacks real short, and I always wondered, like, is that negative, or is real tall, like the guys that are now making extensions on them, is that a negative?
Short hurts torque, helps on top end power. Too long isn't great either. So somewhere in the middle. We run a lot of 30-inch.
Right, because if you go too short, it's screwing up your back pressure now, right?
You lose a lot of back pressure. Granted, you get too long, then you get turned over and you get whatever. But
What about collectors?
merged collectors are the best. 4 into 1 is needs to be on every box.
Yeah, I love 4-in-1. I think they make I had a motor that I was running just straight 4-in-1s, and then I put straight 4-in-a-rows, and I put the 4-in-a-rows, and it made a big difference. I thought.
Now,
but it also could have been my holes on my stacks, you know. Because I got a lot of old stacks, you know. I kept them for years, and it seems like a lot of my older ones were all very small, and it's just something all these years I never thought of. I just bolted them on because it's like, okay, they fit and they work, you know, but it does make a difference.
Here's something else that we've talked about in the show, and we've never really gotten a straight answer on it. What about these evac hoses?
Yeah.
Evac?
Yeah.
What's that? That's reducing internal pressure, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's going to let the motor spin freer, but is it doing anything?
It will typically make 4 or 5 horsepower. We don't do it for the horsepower side of it. We do it to keep the top of the motor sealed.
Okay.
Sealed?
Sealed. Instead of running a push-in breather,
Yeah.
or a breather that's going to slobber oil, drip on the header, and catch on fire.
Yeah.
Get you knocked out that way. We run a welded, typically welded. We pretty well weld every one of them now, but a welded bung and a cover. We've actually quit running with the headers. These motors are getting where they're turning more and more RPM, and we're starting to get oil pulled through the headers.
Wow.
So
It's
now-
moving that much air
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's sucking oil out.
Absolutely. So especially when you start turning that kind of RPM, you know, it draws so much vacuum on it that it just pulls it. You can't baffle it. Well, we had Brzezinski's motor on the dyno, I don't know, a month and a half ago, whenever it was. We done dynoed it with our Derby, or my regular dyno headers on it, and made 714 horsepower is what he's going to be out here.
Jesus.
I was corrected. The booger is over 700. I was incorrect.
Yeah, 714 and 660 foot-pound torque.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's,
Holy cow.
Juice.
Oh, this is Team Kansas right here. I believe that's chicken right there with the Y2K.
It's funny how like everyone comes with their crew and they start down there and then the car moves and their crew moves. You know, they got to sit with them all through inspection.
Yeah.
You were talking about Ryan's motor.
Well, Jason's motor.
Or excuse me, Jason's motor.
Yeah, Jason's motor. Like I said, it's making 714 and I think 660 on the torque or 670. I forget what it was.
That's crazy.
That was a dirt modified motor that Juice had freshened and built. So it's got a lot of compression. Probably not going to do really well if he loses the radiator. But he's got coolers on it.
So, the compression thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
Go ahead.
No, I just wonder, like with compression, is there a limit where you're wasting it? Is there just too much? Is it just dumb? Do you want what would you suggest on as far as compression?
Most of our motors are going to be 9.5.
Yep.
9.5 to 10. We've got some that have got more, some that's a little less, but most of them are going to be right there in that range.
Now, like we went to a derby. I don't even remember where it was, Chris, but everyone was having a tough time. I think maybe it was here last year. Everyone was having a tough time starting super high compressed motors because they were cold. You're too far, right? I mean, like you shouldn't have that problem, correct?
No.
You're too far.
Yeah.
There's no benefit of that.
No, not really. I mean, it makes power. Compression makes power and torque, but
Also heat.
it also builds heat. So
Yeah, the tighter you can compress that air
Yeah.
fuel mix, the
Yeah.
better,
better it's
the more combustible it's going to
But
be.
that's why derby is so much different because
Well, it is.
it brings you back. You know, you're pushing a limit, but then it's like, no, you're not going to do that.
I
You
mean,
know.
us is, we do all types of motors. Obviously, our sprint car motors and our pull truck stuff, we're 17, 18 to 1. on
Wow.
motors.
Damn.
You know, so totally other end of the spectrum.
Right.
We send the heads off to have molds done, and then we send that mold to the piston companies to have it exactly made, just like the chain.
Wow.
So we waste nothing.
Wow, that's cool. Wow.
So a lot of stuff, a lot of action and activity going on in the pits. The story that a lot of the folks online have already become aware of. It looks like the Syopa cars are on trailers at this point, not willing to make the cuts. So
They had a lot of cuts to make.
The 002 is definitely on the trailer. I know there's additional conversations that were going on there. That's why I was a little bit hesitant to dive into it because we don't have the formal word on it. But there's obviously Cameron Happy Todd. He's out there snapping pictures and stuff along those lines. So the 002, Steve Siopa is on a trailer at this point. That doesn't mean that he won't come off it. We saw this happen at Keystone Nationals, and they were just the only thing they were doing. They were just getting it up in the air so they could work on it easier. So. Trying to track that as it develops, something that we're going to be able to offer you more information on later on. So, if that is the case, Jesse Hoffmeister and his team.
I was going to say, then you're out. Right? See, that's tough. That's what's so tough about a team derby is like it's not just you. Other people are counting on you, and other people have hundreds of hours of work depending on you. So, sometimes it's easy, like, hey, screw it, I'm going to load it up. It's like, well, no, you're not, because the rest of your team drove all the way out here and has got thousands and thousands of dollars to get here. So, it's interesting. It makes you this makes it team all the way around. You cannot be selfish this weekend at all, or you are not going to do well at all. Right.
Not with the lineup of cars they got.
Right. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff. So let me, and I know that you're just going to give a political answer, which I get it, but like as far as other motor builders, would you suggest people like not even try to tackle doing themselves? We all know guys that, and I'm not talking about the guys that are just trying to spend $500 and bolt a motor together. I'm like,
Josh. Jeff's going to come on and say, no, please build your own motors.
No, but he might say like, nah. But all the R&D that he's talked about just in this 20 minutes, it would take me a lifetime to learn it. So like sometimes your effort is not worth spending money in other places. So sometimes it's like, well, if you're just going to do all that, maybe it's just smarter to go with Jeff, who's already done the R&D,
Well, there's a lot of guys out there that know how to put motors together. So we have a lot of guys send in their blocks, send in their heads, we'll work it.
Okay.
Send them the parts, and they can assemble it themselves. So, I don't care.
Interesting.
If we do it complete or if we do it, I can tell them we do hundreds of carburetors a year that we'll set up and dyno at the shop and send them to put on their motor. And same thing on the blocks and heads and the rest of it. We send out a lot of parts.
Interesting. Now, because I guess when people call you is when they find out the details. But I'd say guys that don't call you really don't know. Like, do any engine builders give warranties, or is it like do you ask guys they have to do this, that, and this to make sure you warranty, or how does that work? That's such a tough thing.
Especially in this, because they get used so
badly. Yeah.
The dyno obviously helps that a bunch.
You dyno every motor before it leaves. Okay, that's cool. So everybody knows their motor runs.
Yes, exactly. When you get one from us, it's complete.
Mm-hmm.
We send them out in different stages. Some guys don't need carburetors, some guys don't need ignition. So we'll run it with my stuff in the shop, and then we'll send them, and they have to take care of. But when we do it that way, it's hard to dyno it, or hard to warranty anything like that because it's not your carburetor, it's not your distributor. Right. You have no idea what they've done.
Absolutely.
So when one comes off our dyno, we know we've got adequate oil pressure, we know the water temps are doing good, we know everything's like it needs to be. If it's not, we fix it before it leaves. All the parts have a manufacturer's warranty.
Right.
And obviously, hopefully, if there's something wrong, we find that as we're going together with it. And most manufacturers, we will do enough business with them. They take care of us pretty good. We've had motors. We've had 3 or 4 break this year. It's just that happens. You start doing 100, 150 motors a year, you're going to have some.
Well,
we had a rod break in one night old.
Jeez.
We brought it in and we ate it. We had to. It was just one of them deals where you got to stand behind it.
I'm in an industry, I sell bearings, electric motor. I sell the oil and gas industry, machinery. Yeah. And manufacturers have a 1% defect rate. Right. And you can't get away from that. So like you say, let's say you put together 100 motors and there's 1,000 parts between those 100 motors. Right. You got 10 bad parts.
Yeah, you're gonna have problems from time to time.
Now, do you ever have guys say, okay, let's say my head blew up. Okay, take your head off, send it back to us. We'll send it to the manufacturer and see if it's a defect. Do manufacturers do that in motor building?
Yeah, somewhat. When we had all the trouble with the Dodge motors, that's what we done. We took the heads, we sent them to Indy because they wanted to see it, and they were like, "Nah, there ain't nothing wrong." Like, well, okay.
Well, I know how that goes because there's a lot of times factories will say like, send these parts back and tell us, did we do it wrong or did you do it wrong? And they're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
most of the time they're going to tell you the truth, and it's like, okay, well, I did something wrong here, or you did something wrong. But if they did something wrong, they eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, they do. Most of them, like I said, that deal was a little bit different, just for the simple fact we didn't. That was the
You're
only
creating
time we
something.
Yeah, the only time we ever worked with them on
Sure.
anything, so.
Sure.
And they hear Demolition Derby and they're like,
Yeah. They think it's a bunch of hicks out there smashing stuff, you know.
When we go to our PRI show every year in Indy, we'll go to the oil cooler guys and tell them, we're looking for such and such size with fan, and they're like, it's probably a $600 cooler, and they ask what it's going on, and they're like, oh, not for derby cars. You wouldn't. I was like, well, you might want to look again.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, some more information coming to us a little bit about Blizzard Bash specifically and the stuff that's coming here. Brandon B. Strong stickers. You've seen the Team Brandon stuff that Butch Cullens has gotten behind. There's 300 stickers that were made and donated. This Broadhead Decals, I believe, is who did it, and Justin Broadhead bringing those out. And unfortunately, Brandon had the okay to watch Blizzard Bash, but his doctors have said your levels are a little bit too low, buddy. So let's get you some rest. He's not going to be able to watch it, but in fact, those decals are going to be all over the place. Team Kansas running for Team Weston.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool. But and then obviously, we're going to see Jeremy Gully out here, and we wish him the best with Team Martin.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? Again, we talk about this everywhere we go, but it's like, all of us that are healthy and doing well and our lives are going good, sometimes you got to step back and help those that they're not having that same kind of luck. And I love Demolition Derby in the last few years. It's like everywhere you go, they're trying to help someone. And that's what's going to also take our sport to the next level, make it serious sport when it's like, you know what, these are good people trying to do good stuff, Or real quick, and then we'll go, because I'm sorry, I got a million questions.
It's been great. I mean,
when let's say someone does buy a motor from you and you say it's turnkey, literally timing set everything. So like when it gets to their house and they put their training on and drop it in, it is ready to run.
It's ready.
That's badass.
You plug up the fuel hose, put the ignition wire on it, and you're ready.
but there's one thing that you can't account for ever: what they're running for fuel.
Correct.
If they're running garbage gas, if they have a crummy fuel cell,
Yes.
or something that's gotten in there, something in the lines, the lines are starting to come apart inside, especially if you're running something with ethanol in it.
Yeah.
Now you send oil with it also.
Some we do, some we don't.
What's the suggestion on oil? I mean, like I run 2050 just because I always have, but is that what you suggest?
You run Briggs & Stratton 2-cycle because
I run Napa 2050 because I'm cheap, I got cheap motors.
Most everything's on 2050. We got some out there on 1040. Just kind of experimenting with the lighter the oil, as long as we keep our oil pressure stable. It's going to be easier to pump through, so it's going to run cooler.
Yeah.
Not a bunch, but it will help some. We run a lot of Brad Penn.
Yeah.
Very good oil.
Yeah.
Inexpensive.
we pass their plant probably 10 times a year because we have to go 5 hours past there to go to Derby.
Yep.
And it's by far the best oil for the money. We run it in all our circle track stuff. The only thing that is, I'm not going to say the only thing that's any better, but on our high-end motors, we run a lot of the Joe Gibbs driven. The Brad Penn guys, you tell them we're getting them 400, 500 degrees of oil temp, they're like,
Jesus.
"Ugh."
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
that's not good. That oil's done well before then. So
Yes.
The Joe Gibbs stuff, it's good to 550 before it starts
Damn.
breaking down, so we can cook it.
Now you tell people to
What
change
about
oil
the
every time.
We've heard guys at home talk a lot about they just swear by this Rotella.
Yeah. I've had guys have bad luck with it,
Yeah,
and you're
I mean-
right. There's a lot of guys that are pushing Rotella.
Yeah, I mean, Rotel's a good heavy-duty oil. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have anything you can buy off the shelf nowadays has got all the protectants
Taken out.
taken out of it. Anything with
So should you be
SLM,
running an oil additive of some sort?
if you're running a shelf oil, probably
Like
some kind of a moly base with zinc and phosphorus in it.
So you're saying you got to order? You got to order?
You can go to Lucas makes it. You just pour it in.
being that we're Mopar faithful, obviously the only thing that we can run as additives is STP.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's interesting.
That's Richard Petty connection. 'Cause I know you don't follow racing, Josh.
Absolutely
You don't even
not.
know what I'm talking about.
Not even close. No idea.
But yeah, the oil is definitely a big deal. I mean, the cooler you can keep it, the better off you are.
So you said phosphorus, zinc, and
Yeah, moly. guys use Molly additives in them too, but the zinc and phosphorus has been pulled out of anything you can buy off the shelf pretty well that's not a racing oil, whether it be from Walmart or AutoZone or whoever, it doesn't matter where you get it. Every car nowadays has a roll of cam in it, so it needs no protection. So it only has the stuff that it needs to keep the motor bearings alive. So,
Okay.
So they're cheaping out because they don't need to have it in there.
well, basically the government has any of those additives make pollution, so they had to pull it all out to make it pass the emissions test. So, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Now, you tell
that's
guys-
why you see flat tab cams fail all the time nowadays because they weren't broke in right.
Okay, that's making sense. Now, you're like super nuts about oil where every time you guys run it, drain it, put fresh oil in it, or what's your thing on that?
We do it by 10.
Don't talk to Steve Siopa about that Vortec.
He's run the same oil for 20 years.
It looks low.
Yeah. If you go out and cook it, change it. If not, run it a couple nights and dump it.
When you say cook it though, that's running no radiator, just super hot. Or if you kept water in it all night, it's probably okay.
If you kept water in it, you're good.
Nice.
Run it 2 or 3 times.
Nice.
Go. Especially if you got, like the Joe Gibbs driven stuff on our circle track motors, we'll run it 10, 12 nights. Some guys will run it for a season.
Whoa.
So, without changing.
Yikes.
We're talking
Wow.
5,000 hour motor running the same oil all year long.
That's
So-
crazy.
That's faith. That's faith
That's
in the product. right there.
crazy.
Holy
But you're
crap.
also $15, $20 a quart.
Man.
So you don't want to have to change it very often.
Damn.
So versus Brad Penn's
Still.
70 a case.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Still.
Yeah, I know. But you got to protect. Again, if you're going to spend the money, you got to protect it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to protect it. Now, how about water? Last thing, and then I'm going to let you go. Water. A lot of guys are running. Like up our way, we're cheap. We run Downey as our and. What's your thought? I know a guy running
You just
glycol.
nodded your head and said, "Yup." You didn't tell him that he was stupid. You didn't. Tell
Kind
him,
of he is, but
so,
it's.
so before,
I've heard a
before
lot
we
of
get
people
into
say
the
that.
rest of the water wetters and ice bowls and stuff like that, the Downey thing. I mean, like, is the Northeast the only place that's doing that?
No, that's been done for years.
Doesn't make a difference.
It makes the water wetter just like water wetter.
Right.
It does very little. We went to a seminar with one of the big radiator manufacturers, NASCAR. They've tried and tested every product, every which way, and they build the radiators for everybody. So $20,000 radiators for Daytona. I mean,
Wow.
you know,
Jeez.
so that,
Wow.
I mean, that's how much they are with the oil coolers in them and everything. But they've tested every way possible, every additive. Their theory and their findings were none of it does anything, basically. The Downey, that type of stuff, if you got a hot spot in your cylinder head, it does try to help from the inside out, where the water's touching. It does try to make the water adhere a little bit better to it. It's not something that has to be in there. We run straight water, no
Yeah.
restrictors.
Okay.
Highest volume water pumps we can get. We're starting to, depends on the driving style, we're overdriving some of the water pumps to speed. The faster we can get the water through it.
By adding fins, or how are you doing this? Or pulley changing your pulley? Yeah. Okay. Duh.
Changes. Yeah, pulley changes.
Sorry. Duh. Like Josh, you're an idiot.
By adding fins?
Well, I know that guys. I used to hear that guys used to take them out like a long time, and I don't remember. It's actually, I think it was Brett telling me about it, but they were doing something with the fins, and they were trying to change.
You're talking about in what you're talking about. You're talking about like adding additional fins to the
The more
impeller
fins you had,
inside.
the water would
more
push
water. The more water you're going to grab, the more it's going to move through.
But I don't know.
You're talking about just running a smaller pulley so it'll turn faster.
Right. Right.
It's as simple
Spin
as
a little faster.
Right.
Not
Right.
much, but a little
Spin
bit.
it.
We're 1-to-1 pretty much on everything.
spin it as fast as possible.
Spin it as
Get,
fast
spin
as
it 3-to-1. Nothing will
We had
happen.
Ryan's motor on the dyno for total probably 45 minutes, an hour, and never got above 161 degrees. 163 degrees.
So if he keeps the radiator, he's good.
Yeah,
He's good.
Not getting
that
hot.
that was making pulls, letting it idle, making pulls. I mean, I probably put 15 to 20 pulls on it. Just playing with it, but
Just playing with it.
So are you to the point where you could say to people like, "Hey, listen, you can run mine without water for 45 minutes"? Because I've heard motor builders tell people like, I can do an hour all day,
Yeah.
without water. Do you have the balls to say that? Because it's like,
Now, there's
Those words are swords.
Yeah, there's
Well, yeah.
different ways to lose water too. You'll hear guys say, I mean, we've had guys call say, "It went an hour and 20 minutes, no water in it." Well, did it have no water in it, or did you just steam? You started steaming and
Sure.
knock a hole in the radiator,
Sure.
and it had water in it for
Sure.
45 minutes of that hour you ran. If you dump all the water out, your time is limited. I don't, doesn't
No matter who you are.
No matter who you are, the motor's going to build heat. Obviously, the more horsepower you give them, the more heat they're going to build. So that's the fine line. The more power we're making, we're having to do other stuff to help. That's where the nitro piston came in. It's helping deal with that extra heat.
So if we were to go like old school, where drag guys were putting, you ever hear guys saying they put cement or grout in their blocks and that's insane, correct?
What?
Or yeah, guys used to in Hartford Fair, a guy had a 318 and he ran forever with no water, but he had some kind of grout, he said, in all his water jackets, and he had no radiator, none. He just went out there and run it. And I just wanted to know that he was the only one I ever seen do it. But then he was going on like, this is an old drag racing thing that guys used to do. But drag racing aren't going for an hour.
No.
So is it just crazy dumb?
I wouldn't try it. But there again, it depends on how much power how much power it's making. I mean,
I just kind of think that putting grout in your motor
probably not
just
good.
seems like a general bad idea.
Well, this guy had this whole thing about how it absorbs heat and blah, blah, blah. This guy had this whole pitch about it, and it's like, I got done and I was like, I don't believe anything you just said.
we tested. I don't know if you guys heard about the Evans cooling. It's a waterless antifreeze.
Oh, I've heard about this,
We
yeah.
tried
Ben
it.
was just telling us about it.
We tried it years and years ago, back when it was a big show for us. It was down in what the heck was that? Down in Kentucky somewhere. Anyway, we called them, told them what we were doing. They said, "Oh yeah, we got guys already doing it. Works great. It expands a little bit, so you got to have overflow and all that." So we put it in there and tried it. Gave it overflow. Well, the problem is that it expands like twice as much volume as what it starts.
But it's a liquid?
It's a liquid. Yeah, it's just no water. You can't add any water to it. Boiling point is like 320 degrees or something crazy hot.
Nice.
But it just didn't work. You couldn't
Move it?
You couldn't move it enough
Yeah.
to get rid of that much volume of fluid.
But it becomes thick? Or no, it just becomes, it expands.
It
but
just
not-
expands.
It expands. And then the other drawback, if it does turn into vapor, it's flammable.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't a very good combination.
Yeah, that's a drawback.
That's a drawback.
All right, let this guy go, Chris. He's got so much to do. Stop asking all these dumb questions.
So, so as a motor builder, when you smell the combination of burning oil, Downy, and Cam 2, it pretty much that's your worst nightmare.
Yeah, you don't love it? The rest of us love it.
Yeah, we're all thinking this is the best day ever.
We've had our shop stung up so bad that you could smell it for blocks from the burn oil.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Nah, I
crazy.
appreciate you coming on because I know that every time we have a motor builder on, it seems to be like people just stop what they're doing and I guarantee I haven't looked at it yet, but I guarantee I got a million
If we take
questions on
nothing
it.
away from this, remember, don't run turnouts.
Do not run turnouts, everybody. David Day says Jeff's the man.
Yeah, well,
Those are all good customers.
I'm glad you came over.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Thank
Good
you,
talking
sir.
to you. We'll have to do this again.
Definitely.
And we'll get you
Definitely.
to scoot that chair right in and sit up straight like they told you in grade school and talk right into that microphone so everybody can hear the whole thing.
All right, let us go through inspection.
Yep.
I want to go sit in inspection.
I think so. So we should cap this one. There
Thanks,
goes
Jeff.
once again Jeff Baldwin checking in with us, talking. Boy, good conversation there.
Great.
And I guess
Great.
it was good that we didn't decide to cap it at an hour because
know,
we
I
just
was
went
with-
a second hour.
Did we?
Yeah, it's coming up on 3:00.
I could grill him all day. Remember Jeremy Gard last year when we talked about carburetors for an hour?
Want to
you
slide
know?
over? Slide over just so everybody knows that microphone was working.
Yeah, this microphone works. And the conversation we had with Jeremy Gard last year was like awesome. People had a million questions when he was done, and I could sit here and ask Jeff questions all day.
Jeff's outstanding.
That was awesome, and he answered them like so truthfully. I loved it. You know, some guys are very secretive, and it's like, why? I mean, this is all stuff you could learn. It's cool to teach. He's teaching guys. I like that. It's cool. Very
Not
cool.
too bad. So what do you think? Should we get out of here?
Cut it.
All right.
I got something to do.
All right, sounds good. That's going to do it for this edition of the Crash Course Podcast. We'll be catching up with you a little bit later on tonight with the heat draws. We'll see you around 7 o'clock.
The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com. Overkill Derby products at overkillderby.com. Full Lockwood Motorsports and the 2015 Keystone National. Sciopa Racing, and SciopaRacing.com. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015. Demo Derby Masters. Reckless Abandon Derby apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast,